Okay, I had plot profiles. So plot profiles are used for chapter books, not necessarily picture books. Not necessarily picture books because they are usually not long and they're not broken up into sections, whereas a chapter book, so chapter books are set up into like the sections, like each chapter, and they usually have some good tension, some good conflict, and some good excitement in the stories, which will create a good plot profile. I'm just going to give you a little to show you what plot profile looks like. This is a little example. We got our chapters right here, and we got our high intensity right here, and our low tension right here. And then throughout each chapter, we will then graph the plot. So, how to implement the strategy? When we were going to, as teachers, we are going to prepare the chart for our students. So we are going to create a chart for our students so that each one can get them. So you are going to have columns. You can see columns for each chapter and then rows for intensity. Mine has a lot of nicks right here for like good tension and excitement throughout the plot, but necessarily it doesn't need to have that. It just kind of depends on what you want as a teacher. 2, you're going to introduce the chart. So first, you're going to start out the chapter book. You're going to read the first chapter. Then you're going to tell your students or tell your students to get into their small groups and then talk about the chapter. And then you're going to come back as a big class, have that discussion about the chapter, and then you're going to introduce the chart that you made for them. The class will then decide on the level of tension that they want to mark that chapter being at. You as a teacher can have one projected up on your screen if you would like. Probably really good so the students can see how you mark yours, and if they want to mark yours the same, they can. If not, they can mark them their own way. And then each student will have their own, obviously. 3, continue graphing the chart. So like obviously as you read, after each chapter, have them go back to their small groups, discuss the chapter if you want, discuss it as a class, see what each group came up with, and then mark it on the chart. So then this is the last step for the strategy, you're going to reflect on the chart. So after the story, you will conduct a grand conversation. This is like teaching tip number 1 that Alyssa talked to us about. You're going to discuss how the author planned the plot of the story. And then after discussion, typically students write about the plot details, which can be in their reading logs, another tool that we learned in teaching tip number 1. Plot profiles help students visualize how the plot was going. Obviously, plot profile. So, typically, I didn't necessarily mark it for us because I wanted to show you how easy it is just to set up something. It's like kind of thinking of math. Like you're just going to set it up like a graph, like you're going to graph something in math. The plot in each chapter book differently. In Merci Myers, usually the students will be able to see around chapters 22 to 26, the plot is kind of high in tension up here. So they're going to be able to see that transition all the way up to here to go really high and then kind of casually go down at the end of the story. I didn't want to mark it just to get you guys confused, but that's that. So the purpose of them is to help students comprehend complex stories. When students are reading the chapter, they are thinking about what is happening each chapter as you're reading, to see how much tension and excitement it is in each chapter. They're focusing on that. Throughout the story, the students can also ask questions to their peers. Wait, what happened here? Like, can you help me here? And then the students can help them there. Well, if that doesn't get answered, then students can ask questions on top of the questions, and it helps like with good discussions in your classroom, and it helps the students have a visual representation. The plot profile helps the students have the visual representation of the overall plot of the story. So that's plot profiles for you.